So I'm here to do what you probably anticipate, the speech and social studies teacher to talk about math. Uh, I have very few educational hills that I'm willing to die on, but the biggest one is that I think we are failing to properly assess our students once they probably leave the fourth or fifth grade. My problem, right? I've been going over my own kids' grade cards with them. We got them in their Wednesday folders yesterday. We were looking at the T's, the S's, the M's, the E's. We were celebrating those things. What we don't prepare our students for is the antiquated world of the lovely 100-point grading scale. And uh, instead of trying to do a slide where I was like, how do I illustrate my point? Here's my crappy legal pad with notes. So, in a world where we assess our students, right, they're at 100 for an A and 89 for a B. I already messed myself up. A, B, C, D, and then F. The problem that I have with this mathematically is that we ask our students to move from a 50% F to a D by only 10% of a grade, to move to a C, to move to a B, only 10% of a grade. Why in the and I want to use all of my angry profanity about this, but I think it is not equitable or fair to then look at the rest of our students and go, "Oh, you've got a 3% because you were sick, you didn't, connect with the content and do all of those things. You've got to move 59% up to get passing." So, I think in the small shift that I made in my classroom about 3 years ago is that I don't give grades below 50%. So anything in my classroom, right, stays in that traditional stupid A, B, C, D, F grading scale, with the exception of an F is ending at that 50%, but cannot go any lower. That way, if you have a student who is just having a bad time in a unit, instead of giving them a bunch of, zeros that will pile up and crush their motivation to re-engage, they're not going to want to do it because they see that big pile of failure and think that they can't get into it. Uh, the only time I consider giving a zero in my classes is for cheating or academic dishonesty. But just like with practice on anything else, I'll let them make it up. But that zero, right, holds that kind of message of like, you have committed a cardinal sin. What I have found in my AP classes, to my on level classes, to the students that I'm working with as an academic interventionist, they're more willing to get in and go do some missing or lost work or do some practice if they only see that they have to make those small movements. The last kind of tragic story I'll end with is at the new district I'm in. If you have a 52% or higher at the end of the semester, you can qualify for what's called winter night school. And one of the students on my caseload in his government class, which he needed to graduate, was truant as heck, did not engage in anything in the first semester or first quarter. Artificial deadlines kept him from advancing. He got his grade all the way up to a 48, and he's got to take the semester over again. So there's nothing worse than taking the wind out of a kid's sails and hurting their ability to learn than using an antiquated system that dates back way too far. I think I'll die on a bigger, we should kill the GPA and things like that later, but Nick's gonna put up the Google slide and go, it's somebody else's turn to talk. But I think that's a quick, easy fix. Get rid of the zero, cap it at a 50%, move all the way up. You stay within the box of the grades that people care about, but you do a more adequate job of engaging those students at the bottom, at the highest risk of failure, who are dealing with the most chaos in their life, to not make them feel like they've got a big old pile of crap to deal with to have a puncher's chance for those D's get degrees or C's for credit, baby.